This is Disclosure Now. I'm the host, Arkeem Ra, and today I have two very special guests, Eve Howard and Susan Long. They both do energy work, and they both have had experience with. I guess one of the things we're going to talk about today is just maintaining your light body, maintaining your energy, being protective of your energy, and just the unfortunate reality of the fact that there are abusers and manipulative people that exist out there, and light worker types, people who are trying to cultivate light energy and emit that in the world and be healers and stuff like that, can sometimes be really susceptible to these people. And we're just going to talk about just how to protect yourself, how to maintain your light body. That's kind of the subject for the show. And we'll go into a lot of different things with that broad kind of um, subject matter there. But welcome to the show, Eve and Susan. How are you both doing today?
We're
Good.
doing good. Yeah.
Um, so, where did you both? I'll start with Eve, and then Susan can answer too. Where did you start? Realize when did you begin realizing that you had gifts with energy work, and then when did you start cultivating those gifts? And yeah, that's the question, I guess.
Um, I think one of the things I knew from a very young age that I had um, the ability to heal. But with a lot of the other gifts that I had, I was extremely scared of everything, and I just didn't want to deal with it. I guess I wanted to be normal. I didn't want to be like, I was just, I knew I was different, but I didn't understand at that age. And then it was when I got older, I realized having children that there were certain things that you do, um, when they got to burn, you blow on them and, you understand that it's a sensation. It's not taking away the burn, it's just it's overloading, sensories. So I think it was during the lockdown, I actually started to work with a Reiki master to develop a lot of these gifts that I was using and not having enough knowledge. I was actually taking on a lot of the people that I was working on. I was taking on their afflictions, pains, issues, and stuff as well.
Susan.
Um, so we're doing this from when we knew we were a healer part.
Yeah. So, like, when did you first realize, like, oh wait, this is a thing I can do? And then, just like, when did you start cultivating that?
Well, I already knew from age 9 that I was different from everyone else because I could see spirits and I could hear people, aka telepathy. I would know when things were going to happen. I would have precog dreams, but I didn't realize till I was a police officer that I was actually remote viewing, and I was the people that were having a lot of issues. I was actually calming them down with my energy work. So I started researching what it was because I could get in their aura and just bring the energy down. Because I don't, why fight people if I don't have to? And then I found out there was this thing called Reiki, and my energy's different than that. I've had, um, I guess, like Eve, because me and Eve are friends, we've shared energy work. We both went to like Reiki to put a name on what we did because we didn't have a name for it. I mean, my great grandmom told me I was fey like her. I have clairs. I have all the clairs. I have healing ability. Um, you know, I remember one time when this was really weird story. We get called to, and this relates to all of us. I got a call. I was training another officer, and I was still driving, so it was his first week of FTO. And we get sent to this 6-year-old out of control. And that's when Ashton Kutcher's show Punked was on. So we're like, is somebody trying to punk us while I'm training somebody? Because, we'll prank rookies sometimes. And they took us to the other channel to describe it. It was a 6-year-old little girl was engaging in self-harm, and she had been recovered from Satanists in Ohio and kept in a dog cage. Yeah, excuse me, I'm gonna get a little wound up on this one, but try not to get triggered. Anyways, Brian says, "What should we do?" And I said, "You went to Catholic school. Go ahead and pray. And if you have guardian angels, call them in, whoever your guides are." So I did that. And I can usually see mine on my peripheral. And I have to, when I call St. Michael, because I was born on Sunday, I was a police officer. He's a patron saint of those born on Sunday, and police officer. He's there. And I got another guy, but they're blue. And sometimes they're androgynous, and they have son of female when I was in trouble. But you have to know, I could see them on either side, but when you turn to look, all I can see is a peripheral, and they won't let me look at them straight on. So I'm knocking on the door. Mom opens up the door. This little girl she's under spiritual warfare. She's hurling her little body into the drywall and putting dents in it like this, in between the 2x4s. And as soon as she saw me, she bent down, put her hands on her knees, in this little like wrestler stance, and she went. And that was total acknowledgement of my angels on either side, my guardians. See, I'm my Catholic program, so I call them angels. And Brian is terrified because he thinks she's possessed by a demon, but I'm not telling him what I'm seeing. And when she stood up, it was like one of those the blue and gold medieval paintings. She had this golden halo went over her from either side to the floor and had little sparkles in it. So whatever this little girl was, she was closer to God. And that's why they took her, because inside of that halo, like a rainbow for her, was additional angels, whatever you want to call them, but they were with her. And I don't even know, have a name to describe this stuff. And I'm standing there, and I wasn't like this because I'm a little triggered right now. But I said to Mom, I said, I'm a big cop and I get scared sometimes. I got a gun. But I said, I always ask for assistance for St. Michael if I get scared. So Brian's just watching this. So I walked the little girl in her bedroom, sit her on her bed, because I said, I made sure that was okay with Mom, because this was the 90s and people they were funny about religion, but not, I'm like, look, I'm not a Bible thumper or anything, but I'll just try to do like a little mantra here for her. And I was like, this is what you do, and just call in your guardians when you're under attack, and then like your Teflon and push them off. Put your armor on and just call it like you're an X-Man or whatever. And she just laid there, and when she was asleep in under 5 minutes, I can do that to my own children, and I have 2. And Brian could not stop talking about that roll call the next day. But see, I couldn't tell them what I saw. And her acknowledging my angels was, it was like she knew the cavalry was there. So we have to help but she knew the cavalry was there. That there's other people that can see, that can help us. And like even people like me that are healers and Eve, we come under attack too. I mean, I was helping Maureen Bergman one time, and she was in the satanic network, and she was like, Susan, please help. So I pulled her energy body onto my table, which is right there. I'm in my massage room, because I'm like, do I have your permission? It's like, boom, I throw their whole aura on there. And while they were hitting her, they were hitting me in the head. I'm stomping, I'm cussing, I'm cutting cords, sending shit back. And they get really pissed off, especially when we're doing distance healing with some of our people. So, we have to help each other too, because there's only certain people I trust to work on me, because I know they're working from the heart. You want somebody that's working from the heart that can see, because we're looking through layers of things. And like, just energy work's just one layer, because you're using your third eye to look through the layers. And when I close my third eye, when I'm doing energy work, I can, it depends on how open the person is, but I can see spirits. um, I had this little ex-Amish girl come in, and she literally had, from her sacral chakra, you see cartoon balloons. It was like saran wrap or glassine bag, and there was her Amish grandfather was in it. And she came for a massage, but I was like, wait a second, can I clear something for you? And she said, she said I was molested as a child. And I said, I know. I said, I could see who it is too. Can I remove this? And I really had. I think. I don't know what the Amish are doing, but that was like, I had to take an etheric axe to that one to cut the cords from her so she could heal it, because she was damaged inside too. I don't think she'd be able to have babies. But yeah, so my life's like really crazy. I know Eve's is like that too, because Eve sees too. So I'll go off on a tangent if you want to hear.
Well, I think that was a really amazing story. So don't feel. I mean, that was great. A great response. It really painted a vivid picture with an example of something that happened in real life. Um, yeah, it's a lot, but it's what you said about the little girl, how she had this light, and that's why they took her. I'm starting to realize that more and more. Like, I have this. They make us do some fucked up shit in these programs, and I have this programming, I guess, in me to think that I must be very dark and very evil for these people that want to take me. But I'm starting to realize that, like, that's not the case. I'm not the programming that they made me to be, and they take people that are the light and people that are here to help and do good, to invert them. And we're very powerful. That's really the reason why, is because people that have that are of the light is extremely powerful. So if you can invert that energy and have it serve the darkness, um, that's a really powerful manipulation, black magic thing that they do. That's the reason why they take people like us. And yeah, I guess that's something that I always want, the kind of a message that I want to always reiterate on this show is, we're not the programming that they make us. We're not the trauma that they put upon us. We're we're bigger than that, and we can heal from it and move forward. And that's kind of what this show is about, is like addressing that, addressing that, you know, healing is important. Maintaining your energy body is important. Maintaining your light body is important. And I know that you guys are you're experts in the field, and so I'm really thankful to have you both on the show, so we can talk about it and kind of help people understand it better, because I'm still trying to understand it myself, frankly. There's a lot that I don't know. A lot of people come to me for advice and stuff like that, and the I guess the best thing I can say right now is I have a lot of inner healing to do before I can heal or help other people. I do what I can, but I know that I have a lot of work to do on myself before I can exert energy onto others and help them with what they're going through. And I guess that's what this is about. And I'll go into my next question. When you are doing energy work, when you take that step forward and you decide, okay, this is something that I need to do, I can't do it myself, I need help. How do you pick somebody to work with that you can trust? Somebody that isn't going to manipulate you, or maybe they act like they know what they're doing and they don't. How do you pick somebody that is going to be a good fit for you, and somebody that's not going to take advantage of you as well? um,
So you're basically saying, like, who do we work with?
no,
I don't work.
I,
Oh, I
if,
don't.
if I'm coming forward and I realize I need a Reiki master, a Reiki practitioner to work with, like, how do you? What's a good way? Because what's a good way to know that, like, to find somebody that you fit with and somebody that is somebody you can trust? That's not a dark warlock masquerading as a good one, stuff like that, because that happens. So I think that's important
Okay.
to talk about on the show.
I know that when I became once I became certified, which I went to a level 2, level 1 you can heal others in the family, but you can't use it as a business. You go to level 2, and then you can start, taking in that transaction. Um, and one of the things that you're supposed to do, and I did, is I registered with, I think it was like a American Reiki Association type thing. I haven't even looked at it in years, but you are put into almost like this. People can find this website and then look upon, all these people with their names and how they heal. I center mine a lot more around Native American, my spirituality, being Native American. And my mother and father were both in boarding school, so they grew up. Priests and nuns were the ones that were raising them. So of course they wanted to program me the same way that they were programmed. And um, it didn't really just, it was almost like oil and water to me. It, I kept asking questions that I couldn't get answers to. I made everyone very uncomfortable. And then when it came time to put on that gown, you have to put on almost like, it looks like a wedding dress with a veil, and you have to go in front of the whole church and do some sort of rites. And to me it just felt like I was marrying somebody I wasn't quite prepared to do so at the age of 12. So I went on this big huge understanding of theology and understand not and coming out of it after years of understanding this. And the only thing that really, I made a full circle right back to who I was. And I do a lot of work with my protectors, my guardians, my spirit animals, my ancestors, my grandmother. She's with me a lot, and she will point out exactly where things are that I should be focusing, with either hands-on or with remote. I do a lot more remote because I'm able to reach a lot more people. Where I have clients that are in the UK, I have clients that are all over the world, and I'm very grateful that I can share this gift that I have, and a lot of it has to do with not only who I am, but who my bloodline came from and who I come from. And also being a star seed, I have a lot of different intergalactic. I was incarnated from Octarius and Sirian and Alpha Centauri, and especially being Octarius, Octarian, it's a very healing race. I know when I've had a lot of issues and problems emotionally, that's when I'm taken with them, worked on, and brought back, and keeps me at a level of point where I can share these healing gifts, and I do so. And I'm just eternally grateful to the universe and to everyone for being able to um, share my abilities with people that are in desperate need.
I'm glad that you are able to use your abilities to help people. Um, I trust and know that you're doing good work. Um, I also have the thing in my bloodline where my father, he's schizophrenic, but I understand now in my later age that that's just a term for, he's just a shaman in a society that doesn't know what to do with shamans and treated him incorrectly. And that it's bloodline, and my bloodline has that power, and also the starseed thing as well. But yeah, one of the things that I wanted to just address was like, I don't think that everybody out there that is doing energy work on people can necessarily be trusted, and that's something that I have a problem with. Is like, I don't know, like it's really hard when you're opening some up to somebody and letting them literally do work on your light body. That's like a really intimate thing, and it's almost kind of scary. Like it's almost kind of like for people who aren't familiar with it or haven't, I don't know. So picking the right person, that can be hard, and that's why I was addressing just like I don't know, like I guess I would say for myself too, like to answer my own question, like if when you're looking for somebody to do energy work, Reiki work with, somebody, I think that you should just use your intuition, honestly. And like I know both of you really well, so like if I were to do work with you guys, like I know you're both cool because I literally like know you guys. So like that's also a good place to start. But yeah, I just think people should be careful. Like, and I also think that people should step forward and do it though at the same time. I don't want to scare people because I think that it's important for there's all these there's all this stuff going on with our light bodies like parasites, etheric entities, and all these things happening. And I know that you both are like in that world and understand it, so that's why I'm having you both on the show. um Susan, do you have anything to add with as far as just picking who you work with and you know the signs of a good energy, like a good relationship with the person that you're doing energy work with?
If I'm just looking online, I'll look at their picture and just kind of get the feeling on their energy. I mean, I'm still friends with one, two, three. Because I'm a Reiki master teacher, but I've taken Reiki from several people, and I'm still friends with all of them, and they're really good people. So you want somebody that's working from the heart. I mean, everybody needs money to pay for the bills, but they're not supposed to be monetarily driven. And I'm really paranoid about my energy. I'll actually go take a salt bath. I Reiki myself and I'll sage myself before I work on people because I don't want to have any dirty energy at all. Um, Also, I'm a cranial and sacral fascial therapist, and this is one of the things from the programs that I thought was really weird that I observed because cranial sacral therapy in and of itself is energy work, and the myofascial release and unwinding that it does is from John Barnes therapies, and when I've worked on people that have been regens like we were, um, their fascia, which is, basically think of your fascia would be your skin and your nerves and, right over top of your muscles. That still holds the trauma. And I'm surprised that this didn't get cut out because when I tried to say that before, but we're just doing a recording right now. But yeah, I've actually no, we've been regens and then unwound the trauma from the body in the here and now. So if you're having a lot of memories, you might want to try to find somebody that does some John Barnes therapies or cranial sacral therapy. Because I don't even have anybody out here that does what I do. I brought that out here and I've worked on some other people. And my issue is finding somebody that can do that for me because I haven't had it done since January last year. Um, but yeah, because there's one other person out here that does similar things to me, and she's usually busy. But it's all about keeping your energy body as clear as you can because we're under attack a lot, and they don't like us helping other people. You got to remember that. And even I think that one picture I posted of, when I was on the PD and I was a rookie, somebody was looking at it that was psychic and said, "You can see the demons behind you. They're always following you to try to, get an in because they don't like your light, you know, and they get really pissed off at us." And I actually had another one that I was working on a lady with cancer, and that thing I posted was that last week that black shadowy thing with the white eyes. Because I have my eyes closed so I can see when I do that, I can see the whole room, like my two eyes are open. While I'm doing that, I see this thing and it kind of looked like a Gumby cutout almost, but the head was the normal way and and it was 2D. When it turned, it was like, And first I saw it just showed me the white eyes, and then it turned sideways, so I couldn't see it because it was pissed off. I could see it. Actually, didn't know why I could see it. I could sense its frustration. Then it turned around again and did these like laser red eyes, and I'm telepathing this thing, and of course I'm cussing at it because I'm like, better try harder, more, because it's not scaring me. And I was asking it what it was doing, what its name was, and it wouldn't tell me. And I said, "What are you doing?" And he says, "I'm observing." And I'm like, and he kind of acted like a petulant child once. Did one of these things when it went out, but that thing was feeding on her with her cancer, and she said she felt a lot better after the session. So, yeah, if you have to, if you're going to get energy work, go with somebody brave because you don't you don't know what's going to pop off of some of these people that were in the programs. You know.
I think one of the things that I'm getting from this just this talk is just the fact that like there are all of these beings and entities that are interacting with us on a regular basis. Something that and you guys, you can see it and you can tell people, and that's like the gift kind of that you need to have, I think, to be really good at this, is to be able to interact with those energies and see that they're there and literally see the beings and be able to get rid of them. I think it's interesting, Eve, you were saying before we started recording how at bars entities will wait for people to get to a state where they're tipsy enough to where they can walk in. And you want to talk about that a little bit? I found that fascinating, and I think that's a good warning to give people, because I mean, so it's part of just being alive on Earth, or being a human being. Basically, people drink. So yeah, I'd like you to go into that a little bit, like the energy behind spirits and drinking and all of that, and the kind of the warning you have there for people, because I think that's really important.
Oh, yeah. I've seen a lot of actual photographic evidence of people, like a lot of like the native kids. They go from party to party, and they pile in the car, and there's like eight, six people in a car, and they're taking pictures and stuff. And I've had people's like, "What is this?" And they're like, there's another person in the car. Or else I've heard talk of my friend saying, I was walking with this guy back from the party, and I'm having this conversation. He's a real quiet guy though. And I get to the house, and I get to my sister's house, and she opens the door, and there's a light behind her. And that's one of the things that elders tell you, not to open the door with a light behind you, to look out into the darkness, because you see things you're not supposed to see. And the sister saw it, and immediately she got eagle feather and sage. And usually you're not supposed to sage at night, but if it's a dire emergency, by all means, sage. And she was saging it. She pulls them in, sages it, slams the door, and hangs the feather over the door. Her brother's like, "What's going on? What's happening?" She's like, "There was something with you." And he goes, "Oh, that was my bro from the party." And she's like, "That was not your bro from the party." Um, and it tried to get in the house. Uh, it was a scary situation from the sister, from her telling the story. Um, of what she saw. But I mean, the pictures that they see, people are taking selfies in the car, they're drinking. They're not aware of this, but I mean, you'll see it if you look in the picture. Lighten it up a little bit. Go into your settings, lighten it up, and you'll see it sitting there. And people have like seen just like a smile, almost like a Cheshire cat smile in the back seat. Um,
I think that angry, there's in the United States, there's kind of the trope of the abusive alcoholic father. Not that's like all fathers, but that archetype exists, right? And it almost seems to me like there are entities, demons, like using that as an in to kind of be feed on their aggression, make aggression, you know, um, it just seems to me like, I don't know. It's also something that Barry Littleton talks about. He talks about he has a term for it, I forget what it is, but basically there are spirits that will attach themselves to you. They'll live kind of vicariously through you too. They'll kind of like you won't even know it. They're in the background, like hanging out, like using your consciousness as a vehicle to interact with reality. You guys want to talk about that a little bit? I'm sure you both know exactly what I'm talking about.
Well, the weird thing is with every bottle of liquor, there's a different spirit. They call it spirits, but there's a different spirit in every side. Every bottle. It had something to do with the fermentation, with the fruit. You're taking something that is organic and good and whole, and you're rotting it. So what happens when you rot something like that? You attract other things that are just as rotten, and then you put it in you put it into your body. You know, tequila, if you remember that one movie, what was it? Poltergeist. That little worm was possessed by that entity, by that evil entity. And the man, when he drank it, it possessed him.
I think
You know, so
by Steven Spielberg, Poltergeist.
mhm.
Yeah, that was brought up in the interview with Daryl James. There's some very dark magic going on with that movie. Very dark stuff going on with that movie. I don't even want to repeat what he said in the interview. It was so bad. But basically, Steven Spielberg is a monster.
He's one of them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's
That little girl was a very angelic being. That Carol Ann, that character,
and they killed her.
and she was, yeah, she was groomed and ritual, but all of that they were using actual skeletons and not type, you know, the plaster ones that a lot of movies use. They were using actual human skeletons in the pool scene when Joanne Beth is swimming in the pool with those all that muck and everything. So that they were definitely doing something they shouldn't
Yeah,
have
I've
been
heard the
doing.
legends of that movie being basically dark and satanic. Since I was a kid, I've known about it. I've heard about it. Susan, do you have anything to say? It looks like you want to talk. You have anything to add to that?
I was like, what was the original question? I've forgotten.
I think I kind of forgot too. We're talking about alcohol. We're talking about spirit. Oh yeah, we're talking about spirits that will attach themselves to you and kind of live vicariously through you and try to
Yeah.
manipulate you and stuff like that. And then
Like,
alcohol as well. We're talking about
yeah,
that.
like that one spirit that was on that lady with cancer. It was feeding off of her. You know,
Yeah.
it was stealing her chi. Um, you know, in Japanese it's called ki. That's the part of Reiki, universal life force energy. But shoot, but it also, you know, when I do energy work, shoot, almost anytime I touch somebody, it's if I'm open, I can feel their pain in my body. And then when even when I was a detective stuff, I could, if I thought about somebody that was lost, I could see through their eyes. Like I was, you know, some old guy went missing and they sent me on that. They were like, how'd you know where he was? And I said, I just thought about him and I saw the road he was on. So I knew where he was going, you know? And it's because I know we can do that where we, you know, demons can do it, but some of us can do that too, where we can walk into bodies and see things and feel their pain and everything.
Oh
Um,
yeah, they did. We would go into people's bodies at Montauk and just completely take them over with the chair. I remember that. So that's like possible. You can literally just take someone over, and they not necessarily are going to be aware of it either. They might just. It's pretty wild, but another thing that I wanted to get into, which is a really important part of it, which is kind of what inspired me to just get you guys and have this conversation in the first place, was just dealing with narcissistic abuse, dealing with I know that term gets thrown around a lot, like it gets applied probably inappropriately to situations where it maybe doesn't apply, but it also is it's a real issue that narcissists and abusers are often going to be the people who will try to put themselves on a pedestal so they can put themselves in a position where they're going to manipulate you and take advantage of you. And they also can be very cunning in a way where you're not going to realize even that you're being manipulated or that something bad is happening until you're already in the thick of it. And I just think that that is a huge issue in this community is because they're trying to program us in our normal lives, and they'll send certain archetypes, and one of them would be like the narcissist, into our lives to pretty much destroy our fucking lives, right? So I don't know. That's just something I wanted to talk about. It's just like some people, unfortunately, the narcissist can be their parents or something like that, where it's a little more hard for them to just break contact and escape it. But it's a huge issue, and it's something that needs to be talked about. It's just how to avoid these people, how to recognize them, how to shut them down. Um, yeah. So I don't know what we. I don't. I guess it's not really a question. It's more of like a conversation that needs to be had, right? Like, um,
It is. It is. And see, a lot of us are empaths. And the one thing that a narcissist, he doesn't have, or she doesn't have the feelings like what an emotional human response to love or to anything that is very here, centered here in the chakra. They don't have that. It's all closed off. It's just like right here. But they're attracted to the empath. That is because usually empaths are very strong, even though they're very emotional people. They are very strong because being an emotional person, you get hurt more than the normal person. So you learn to build all of these structures, walls. I mean, I constructed a huge wall around myself, but in doing so I also pushed a lot of people away. But in breaking down that wall and learning how to have almost like I use like a golden bubble, that's what I use. Um, See, I didn't have anybody to teach me any of this thing, so I used a lot of visualization. I was scared. Nobody in my family is like me, so it was really hard for me to seek out anybody. And being an empath and being in the programs, I was very untrusting of others because I've had so many people that will just, they're attracted to my energy, but are they attracted to the energy or are they feeding off of the energy? You have to be able to decipher this. And one of the things that I use, like a golden bubble, um, as an example, I had a friend of mine that was in California and was called me. There's something banging, underneath my house, and I'm getting kind of worried. I can feel this sense of dread, and usually when I hear that, I know something's up. Because even a normal person will feel like there's something not right. Um, I was able to biolocate, and when I got there, um, the first thing I did was check the perimeter. I brought my guardians with me, so we were checking the perimeter. We went all the way around the property, checked it out. There was some really strange looking tunnels underneath the property. It was like in a mountain. It was like in the Antelope Valley in California, which after doing some research, I realized that they were doing a lot of stuff out there they shouldn't have been doing. And it was like a serpent, like a weird feathery serpent. But what it was is it was just a protector of the land from the indigenous that lived there at that point. Um, and it was gone. We had frightened it off. Everything was good. Um, my friend took a bunch of pictures outside when we were outside, and I showed one of them to Susan. And when she was like, "Wow, I'm like seeing your face almost like imposed over his face." Um, and I think I even showed them to you. They were just like orbs. And we were there, he was taking pictures, talking to me at the same time. And I was telling him, clean. He goes, I'm seeing all these weird orbs. And I'm like, just clean your camera. Make sure that the lens is clean. He goes, okay, cleaned it out. And then I said, now go inside, take a picture so that, if it's something that is, it's completely dark outside, we don't, you got to be able to, as a paranormal investigator, we had to be able to, debunk a lot of stuff. If there's lights out, that's probably where the orb is coming from. He was out in the middle of the desert in an RV. There was no lights. There was no city lights. There was nothing. He went in the RV, took pictures. It was completely clear. Goes back outside, stands in the exact same spot. Take the picture. By this time we had left, and when the pictures afterwards were completely clear, no orbs, no nothing. And he was just like, I think I got evidence. And it was like, probably. We were there. But that's, the be able to use these things, and what Susan was talking about with remote viewing. See, I didn't understand any of that either. I still don't. I just know that I can do it. I think my brother was looking for something that was very important. He was getting very mad, and I immediately, it doesn't have to be a person. It doesn't even have to be anything, an object. I was able to see there were clothes. I was kind of half underneath the bed. I told him. He went and looked in a pile of clothes. He found exactly what he was looking for. What Susan was talking about when she says when she closes her eyes and uses her third eye, they call that, indigenous, they call it native sight. I have it, and I know a lot of people that have it use it to be able to see these entities, because it's really hard. They try to hide. They'll try to tuck into little shadows. They'll go up high up, because your range of looking is like usually right here, but they'll be up there. They'll be down there. They like to hide. I staged a house once, pulled the door, the furnace door open, and went like this with the sage, with the feather, and this shadow figure that looked almost like venom crawled across the ceiling right above us and went right straight through the wall, right by the door, and just disappeared. I didn't say anything, and my niece was with me at the time. And I just put the door back together. We walked in there. My mother said, how'd it go? And my niece was like, I think I saw something. And my mother's like, did you guys talk about it? And I'm like, no. So she took us both separately to see what we would say if our stories would add up. But they did. Exact same thing. Dark shadow figure crawling out of the furnace across the ceiling and disappeared through the wall. So they're real. I've seen them with my own eyes open and closed. The blue being that Susan talks about, I've seen that. I don't know what it is, but it's not anything bad.
Oh, I remember another story about the blue beings. I had a client with cancer, and he already knew he had cancer. I used to do mobile massage, and because we can, like, she, how she sent her, we actually send a fractal of ourself, so you can see us as a spirit at the location where we're sending protection, but we also take our guardians with us. And shoot, I forgot. Oh, now I remember where I was going with that one. Anyways, he wanted me to come early that day, and he says, I have something to tell you. But family members had contacted me to work for him. So he was 83 and knew he was elderly. His wife had already passed. And he says, I have cancer. He says, I know you can heal me, because he was a cranial sacral therapy teacher out in Colorado, but he had moved back to Delaware, and that's where I was located then. And so he said, don't try to heal me. And I said, okay. So I'd set everything up, and I hate the C word. That always triggers me. So I'm out there's like a little vestibule. I sat out there, and I was praying for my blue beings, which I think are Syrian, Arcturian, probably Andromedan, and I always send two. and he was taking a while because he kept getting weaker to get on the table that day. And I asked that they assist him in any way possible so that he may pass the most pain-free possible way. But he doesn't want us to stop his transition. Okay, and when I went back in the room, he says, and I started working on it. He's like, Susan, these two blue angels in Superman suits came and they pushed me on the table, and then they took off real quick. And I'm like, I'm trying not to cry on him because he saw my blue beings, my angels, and I don't know how. He never told me he was psychic before, but he was disappointed that I didn't tell him he had cancer. And I said, why would I? Because my guides aren't going to tell me something you already knew. You already knew that before you moved back home to Delaware. So they're, we're just going to assist you the least pain that you possibly can have, the transition. But that was pretty cool. It's cool when they see your helpers. And like Eve, she sent me, and I'm like, oh, Eve. You could see like it was like a ghost. It was transparent, but it was Eve's face over her partner's face. And I'm like, it's like she was standing in front of him, like back, like Wonder Woman or something.
I'd like to ask a question.
Put the shield around them.
What are the angels that you're working with? What are they?
I think they're star beings.
I think so too.
But so interdimensionals, because I have actual fairies, and they're different sizes, and they were super active in December, warning me about a whole lot of stuff. And in January, I could actually see them peeking around the corners, and I went to go get energy work. And when I closed my eye, I could see somebody was pulling my left little baby toe. And I said to the girl that was working on me, I'm like, look. I said, I can see her when I close my eyes. She's like the size of a 3-year-old. And she's got like leaves and stuff for hair, but she's got a cherub type face. And that was the youngest one I've ever seen. But she was pulling my little toe. So she's like, look, we're here. We're with you. We're here. We're with you, because they kept, there was a lot of stuff going on. So they wanted to know I was protected. And Kelly saw it too. So I was like, yeah, it's been like super active lately with the earth spirits. So to the point where I'm seeing stuff in 3D.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm not very religious. I don't think I even came close to studying the Bible. I was just pushed into it. But I did ask that question once, and I was like, what exactly are you? And I said, are you angels? And to which that was not the response that I was expecting. But they did let me know that they were older than religion, that they were purposely used for like propaganda and put into this work. But a majority of them, that's it's almost like when they were created, they had like a dark twin. So they have like a light and a dark.
Okay.
And
That explains a lot.
the ones that I deal with are only for protection. They protect me. I don't. That's all that I know that I can do with him. The first time that I noticed this was right around when I started doing Reiki and getting certified. He made himself known to me because I was very scared about something. And I had my eyes closed, I was meditating, and I just see this light being in front of me. And one of the things that he took to show me is he had the sword. He pulls the sword out and he pulls it right in front of him. And I'm like looking, and there's symbols that were etched on his sword. And I was trying to, like, I had never seen that language before. Looked like a little picnic table. You know what I mean? It was like a little weird, looked like a chair or something. I mean, like I said, I didn't do a whole lot of going in depth about a lot of ancient symbolism or any type of thing. I have no clue, none. I just know what they do. If I'm walking down the street at 12:30 at night through a really bad part of town, they're there. I don't I don't I don't understand it. And I certainly don't use them for any type of healing or to do, they're not hired thugs. That's not what they're there for. It's almost like you can call on them for protection, and that's all that you can really do,
Are they light?
or else.
It's almost like they're light programs or something, like, I don't know, light sentinels or something.
That's what I've called them before, as sentinels, guards, protectors, guardians. I tend not to use the word angel because it brings up
to it.
biblical type connections when it's
to it, for sure.
way older than
One of the reasons why I asked the question is because, well, another thing is, like, I know that, and I've kind of made some posts about this recently. I've been getting some memories back of like my ancient life here on Earth, and I know that the 12 archangels from the Bible are the same as the Olympians, the Greek Olympian gods. I'm pretty sure Uriel was Poseidon. Yahweh was Zeus, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, those, they call them the archangels, but I think there's a big difference between what those beings were and are, and just like angels in general. It's kind of confusing for me, but like I know that some people will call upon like Archangel Michael or Archangel Raphael or whatever, and you guys can, obviously give your rebuttal and say what you think about it, but I'm really wary of that, of working with those beings, because I've encountered them in the 3D reality, like not the here and now, the ancient past, and they weren't good beings. And I know a lot of people are working with them energetically, and it has me confused because yeah, it just has me confused. Like, what is y'all's opinion on that? Like, working with archangels like Uriel or Raphael, or you're talking about Saint Michael. That's different than the angel Michael, right?
Well,
those saints, I think.
I mean, I don't have, blonde hair, blue eyed Pleiadians showing up, as I'm not partial to them because I've had issues with them in the programs. It's more of but then, I mean, that begs the question: what are we, if we can call them to stand guard? Because I'm not using their energy. I'm not necessarily using Reiki, and I'm not channeling shit. It's all me. And I know that's what Eve's doing. We just took Reiki to give it a name, but other people are actually.
I've had an experience, not to interrupt you, but like I really am trying to get to the bottom of this. I had an experience with I did energy work with someone, and if they watch my show or figure out, I'm not trying to talk bad about them, but the first thing they do is they start calling upon the archangels, and they called upon Uriel, and Uriel killed me in one of my past lives. He threw his trident at me and killed me. And I'm like, you're calling on this guy to do energy? Wait a minute. Like, hold your horses. I don't know if I want to do. And I worked with them, and it was fine. But it didn't get the results that he was supposed to help me integrate an altar. I felt different at the time for a moment, but then it didn't stick. So I didn't work with him again. And there's a lot of people who talk really good about him, and that's fine. I'm not going to name names, like I said, but if you are figuring out who I'm talking about, you do work with them. I'm not saying you shouldn't. There's people who I trust who swear by him, but I just, in my experience, I'm like, I got to find someone else. I work with them and it just didn't resonate with me. And I need to find someone else, because if you're calling upon a guy who threw trident at me and killed me in one of my past lives to do energy work, I'm probably gonna get freaked out by you and probably not want to do it again. Like that. So that's where I'm at. It's just like confused, because one of the things he said too was, when I asked him about it, he said, well, they have a light version and a dark version. And then you're talking about that. You're saying, well, there's these beings, they're like a twin energy, and there's dark and light. And so I'm like wondering if it's all related. I'm basically literally just trying to wrap my head around all of this. Like, I'm sort of getting it, but also sort of confused still. Like, I'm still trying to assimilate even my memories of these beings, like Uriel and Yahweh and stuff like that. What I remember, though, not to digress too much, but what I remember is my people realized, like, oh, wait, you shouldn't keep an entire species as slaves. That's bad. Like, we realized that. Like, that's not good. And we were trying to say that to everyone else. Like, this is a mistake that everyone has made here. This is bad. And I remember the archangels, the Shahami, whatever you want to call them, they're like, nah, this isn't bad. This is fine. If we got to rule over them with an iron fist, so be it. You know what I mean? Like, they're our servants, they're our slaves. Whether they assert that they're not, they are. You know what I mean? We're just going to keep on tricking them into being our slaves, basically. And my whole people's thing was like, wait, we can't do that. Like, because when human beings were made first initially, it was like, oh, they're servants and they serve us, and that's cool. But then it got turned into, oh, they're our slaves and they have to work for us by force. And we're like, wait a minute. Even though both are wrong, one's definitely worse than the other. And we realized, oh shit, we fucked up, is what I remember. But anyway, I remember the Shahami not realizing that. The whole reason why Uriel threw his trident at me is because I went in there and Yahweh had taken my slaves. And I went to my slaves to be like, hey, you're free. And they're like, no, you're not even the true God. Yahweh is the true God and all this stuff. It's a long story. But basically, I couldn't go to Yahweh because he wasn't on the planet or something. I don't remember, to be perfectly honest. I don't remember why I didn't just go to Yahweh. I guess I couldn't. So I went to Uriel. I went to his temple. And I was just like, hey, I went to go tell my humans, like, A, you're free now. Like, hey, just do what you want or whatever. And they said that Yahweh said they're his now. He's like, yeah, well, you weren't using them. You're just going to not use them anymore. So we decide we'll use them. I'm like, you don't get it, dude. This is about sovereignty. They know what they are. They're self-aware. They know that we're not gods. So they need to be sovereign. You need to let them be sovereign. He's like, are you questioning the decision of the Grand Council? And I was like, no, I'm not questioning your decisions. I'm questioning your honor and whether your decisions are honorable. And that's when he got pissed. He turned red and he didn't even respond. He just threw his trident at me and killed me. And I guess that was ballsy of me to go in there and say, you have no honor, basically. But yeah, that began a whole war. That began a fucking war. It was like killing Franz Ferdinand or something like that. Like, that was a huge event but that's the whole reason why I bring up the archangels, is I have some history with these guys. Like, I know them personally.
They've never walked on this planet as a man. They were never men. They were anything that anyone says, including if they had oral sex with one, they were never men. They never men. They never walked on this planet with us as one of us. They're interdimensional. They're different
these
beings.
beings that I interacted with were flesh and blood, and they were.
Then that wasn't them. That was not. That's not who we work with, because these things don't have bones, blood, nothing. They're just light. They're just energy.
Yeah, so it makes me wonder, because what we see repeated, something that I'm noticing that we see repeated, is we see the 12 disciples, the 12 gods, the 12 whatever, and then the 13th is the leader. In the case of the 12 disciples, it's Jesus. And with the archangels, it's the same thing. And I think that the leader is Zeus or Yahweh. And it seems to be, it's also like another thing that people don't talk about. Well, people do talk about it, and it is a thing. Is like the Bible and the people in the Bible and stuff like that. It's related to astrology. It's related to the stars. So it's like what these beings are, what these archetypes are, what these. It's all really complicated and deep, and I guess it would make sense for there to be beings that would claim to be light beings in flesh and blood form when they're really not those beings. I personally am confused. I don't have a lot of memories of these archangels and these beings, but I do know that basically, like, when Earth was a playground for the gods and stuff, I was there and I was one of the gods. I know that. And I was erased from the history of the pantheon of the gods by Marduk, through time travel and stuff. I'm pretty sure is what happened, is what I remember. But that's a whole other thing. I guess I just thought I'd bring it up on the show. I think it is important, and it is on subject. But obviously, you're not working with the same beings that I'm talking about. As far as the being that, like Uriel and the rest of those guys. Yeah, it's all really confusing. I'm still trying to understand it all myself, to be honest with you, which is why I figured why not ask about it? Because I honestly am not going to sit here and act like I understand things that I don't. You know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to figure it out myself.
Well, I was kind of wondering, like I read recently that, you know how some of us were Lixeldaten and they, light soldiers, and our souls were so old they didn't know where we came from. I heard that in the German programs. And shoot, where was I going with that? Oh, but when the angels, which were probably Jahami, were cast down, also the benevolent ones that wouldn't choose a side in the drama were also cast down. What if we're the benevolent ones?
I think that's what yeah, I know it. I know it.
I swear to
I
God, and
remember what
maybe that's
happened.
why we can ask these beings, to come and assist us. So yeah.
So get this. I remember leaving in the Ark home. Okay. I remember leaving in the Ark and things were fine. Humans were building us stuff and they worshipped us as gods, and they were having a great time doing it. They didn't feel they're slaves, and it seemed great. And then I remember I left. I don't remember where I went, but I remember I came back, and all of a sudden, like, the Shahami were breeding with human beings, and making half breeds. There were ascended masters that were human, and like all this stuff. And we're like, what? We're like, this is crazy, and we freaked out. And we're like, what do we do with our humans? They're self-aware, and it's in the hieroglyphics. I remember it. We're like, well, we got to kill them all. We don't know what else we got to. There was a vote on it, and they're like, well, we got to kill them all. And then in the middle of killing all these humans, we're like, wait a minute. These are our children. Like, what are we doing? This is like wrong. We can't just kill them all. It's written in and I remembered all this stuff and started reading like the hieroglyphics. I got a book that literally is just the hieroglyphics translated, and that's what it says. It says that happened, like that the gods got offended by the humans mating and all this stuff, tried to kill them all, and then they realized it was wrong and called back the decision, and it's all in there. And I remember it, and I remembered it before I read it. So for me, it confirms that I was there, that I was part of the Council of Ra, which was 12 with 13. It was just like the Pantheon of the Gods, but we were different. We're not the same. It was a different group. But yeah, I remember there was a vote, and I remember it was a whole thing, man.
That's probably why we only lived to be
time.
like 70, 80 years old, because we used to live 300-400 years, and you could ascend in that time. But they were like, oh, screw these humans. They're becoming self-aware. So
yeah.
Top off their, life expectancy so they can't become self-aware. And yeah. That's why
it was a really dark time, because I don't know. It's just the idea of creating like beings to do your work for you, like build temples for you, mine for you, do your bidding for you. That's what we are. We're slaves. It's a moral question. And I remember there was like a galactic council, and there was a vote on it, and it was really close, and arguably the vote was corrupted because people knew that if they did this thing, they'd get a lot of power from it, and get a lot of resources if we created these beings to do work. But I remember there being, and the Lyrans were one of them, and or at least there was a cat species. I know there's more than one, but I remember there being species that were literally like, this is going to bite you. You can do this. You can create these beings and do this thing. But it's going to come and bite you, for lack of better terms. Obviously, this isn't how they said it, but they said it was going to come back and bite you in the ass later. This is not, you can't just do this. This is a bad idea. And we know you're going to go along with it anyway. And you're going to learn your lesson, whether it's tomorrow, 300 years from now, or millions of years from now. You're going to learn your lesson, is what some of the people said. Some of the different beings that weren't on board with the idea said. But yeah, it's a whole thing. Now we're here. Human beings are seeded all throughout the galaxy, and it's still a problem, and it's still being figured out, and we're still dealing with the downfall of it. And that's why disclosure is a thing, and that's why the stuff is being hidden from us, is because they think we're still a child species, and are we ready? And arguably we're not ready, but we're at the table now, and we're eating at the table. There's nothing they can do about it. They tried to pull the table away from us and not allow us to even sit at it, but we forced ourselves upon the table. You know what I mean? We're a part of the galactic thing now, whether they want to respect us or not. But I'm kind of going on a tangent here. I'm sorry. I don't mean to hijack the conversation, but the whole archangels thing and what angels are and these light programs and all that, it's something that I'm still trying to figure out. Have you guys ever dealt with that, where you run into these beings when you're doing your work, your energy work, and you can tell they're like an AI program? Like they're not real. Like they're just there to like be in the way of you getting to the thing that you're supposed to get to. Have you ever had that happen to you before?
Yeah, it's kind of like an AI thing, so they don't see what's underneath. And it's usually used. Eve, I'll defer to you because it was used on you, so you would be scared and wouldn't look into your memory. Remember that?
There were several. Which one? Which incident?
I don't know. Well, they would do like screen memories of like rapes and stuff, and it wasn't. That was just like, oh, and it wasn't. It was just a screen memory. It wasn't an actual thing to make you forget the mission or whatever you were doing.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, but those things will loop, and they don't look like something normal. Yeah.
Sometimes, like some of the things, like and my kid, who was about 13 at the time, it was during a time where I was seeing a lot of weird stuff, and I think we were having Zooms about it. We were talking about it, but we were seeing like these weird spiders, and it would be on the wall, and it would just, or else it would just drop. And my daughter was like, "Whoa, whoa, move!" And she was pushing me out of the way, and I'm like, "What?" And she's like, "There's a spider. It's And she was really seeing it, And I see him, and when I see him and I point him out to people, they're like, "I don't see it." So it was really weird. It was like seeing like these strange things that were not there, but they were there, and it was almost like they weren't real. Like I didn't get that this was a living entity. This was not a spider. This was not my friend because I talked to them. This was something that was, I don't want to say spying or observing, but it was there for a reason.
I remember that I had like a experience where I was meditating, and I was reaching out, and I was talking to one of the blue beings, where I've talked to them before. Not like the blue angels, but they're like, like the Shiva beings or whatever you want, like that are in the Vedas and stuff like that. I was talking to one of them, and I was asking him it was her, whatever it was. I was asking him questions, and then all of a sudden I could tell that it was giving me programmed responses, and I realized that it wasn't real. Like it was like a program. And that's why I asked, because I figured you guys probably had to run into that too, because I know it's a real thing. So yeah, it's so crazy that they can do that. It's like a tulpa. Have you ever heard of that? Where you can create a thing that's like alive to serve a purpose, but it's also not really alive. It's like a tulpa. It's like a tulpa thought program. And yeah, I've encountered these things before, and I'm pretty sure that we can create them too.
We
Like,
can actually, women can give birth to them. They're the ones that don't have that soul inside. When you've ever met somebody and you're just like, there's just no light behind the eyes, and you go to shake their hand and their hand is like ice cold, and you just don't get that feeling. It just kind of gives you that creepy feeling. So following this one being from the time that I met this person, thing, sim, whatever you want to call them, from the time that they were actually born. um, they're just guides. They're almost like interactive guides that keep us on our controlled path of, excuse me, of going to school, going to college, graduating, getting that job, meeting that person, getting that house, that mortgage, getting married, having children, retiring. I mean, that's what they want us to do. And I fought my whole life against that. I was like, this is not what no, 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 no. I mean, I'm the type of person when someone tells me that you're going to do A, B, C, D, I'll do D, E, F, R. I just don't want to ever do what's expected of me. And that was one of the things that my parents, growing up in like almost like a church environment, they expected me to follow everything to the T, and they just couldn't understand why I didn't want to. I had no desire.
so I want to go back to sort of, like I said, it kind of inspired us to have this conversation in the first place. Not to change the subject too much, but I know I asked about it before, but I want to reiterate on it. How do we spot? So how do we spot narcissists, manipulators, abusers, and protect our energy from them? Obviously, you brought up how they will gravitate towards people who are empaths, people who have strong, loving energy, and they'll able to make themselves at home and make you feel at home with them. Um, Susan, do you want to maybe last time Eve asked or answered the question? Maybe you could add to that thought, as far as how to identify these kinds of individuals and how to keep yourself safe from them and protect your energy and not let them into your life.
Um, Shoot. Well, I notice a lot of healers and empaths seem to attract these sort of people because we're strong and we have healing ability and we have everything they lack, So you won't notice initially because we have this natural inclination to want to help people and heal them. And, you know, you might tolerate a certain level of abuse thinking, oh, they're going to heal when and then you'll finally notice that when you're the one that needs healing and you're talking, that when you're expressing what's going on with you, it's empty. It's an empty shell. You'll see the empty shell after a while, and you're saying, oh, I feel like I'm dying today because you really need to go to the ER, and then all of a sudden they're talking about their pain, and they don't even hear you, and then you realize that all along they've just been mirroring everything you say, and that's the terrifying part, because yeah, you were in love with yourself.
I mean,
Wow.
I'm not laughing at you. I am laughing at the truth in your words. I dealt with
Laugh
one.
or cry, right? That's what I always say when people point that out.
Oh, I
It's
I can have this maniacal laugh, this evil laugh, because I know exactly what she's talking about. And being able to protect yourself, I realized that there's like this switch. Like I can go out into public and I can turn the switch off. And it's almost like I become this gray person, just very uninteresting, no light, no nothing. And I can walk around like that. And then I can be in the same room, in the same spot, and I can flip the switch. And automatically people are turning. They're looking at me. they're talking to me, they're coming up, they're asking me questions, they want to just come and be near, they see that light. That's, you have to be able to almost get it like where it's almost a switch. And I'll be like with someone, I'll be like, watch this, you know, because you be somewhere and you're just, maybe you're not getting the service that you want, or you're trying to get someone's attention. You flip the switch on, and then you get people coming in. Can I help you? Do you need something? You know, I mean, it's almost comical, but that I use energetic bubbles for protection. I remember my partner was being psionically attacked by somebody in the community, and I'm not, you know, we aren't going to mention names, but I biolocated to be there to put my body over him to shield him because he was getting physically attacked, and I was talking him through this. He had never done this before. And we grew this big, huge bubble. And it, just as it's about ready to encompass me, this person came up and stabbed me right in the back. Boom.
Ooh.
And I felt it. Oh, and I was like trying to keep the bubble up, keep the bubble up. I said, push it out bigger, bigger, bigger. And he pushed it out. Once he pushed it out, the knife got pulled out and pushed away. So I put a lot of, you know, faith in the abilities, and you have to be able to trust your abilities 150%. You can't trust your own abilities. You're no help to nobody. You can't heal people. You can't even heal yourself.
Yeah, you have
I
to
guess.
trust your better judgment, and I think that's another thing too. Or like when I was talking about before, like kind of answer one of my own questions again. It's like when you're looking for somebody to do energy work with, I think you should trust your own intuition, and somebody who might be not so great for you might be great for somebody else, and vice versa. I think that everybody kind of has their own energy and thing going on, and I feel like that if you're a viewer watching this and you're looking to do energy work, I think that you can follow your heart and your better judgment and find the right person. And I think that's the way to do it personally is just follow your heart and your better judgment. And as far as with the dealing with abusive people, narcissists, one of the unfortunate truths of that situation is it's very hard to tell the first time. It's very hard for you to for someone to be able to like watch out for something they haven't had happen to them before. So it's good to put out this kind of the warning signs and tell people, but also really the best way to be able to look out for narcissists and abuser type people is to have experienced it and to not even give it an inch because they'll take a mile, right? And you got to put your foot down immediately and protect your energy immediately and cut off contact. And that's another thing. Like,
Exactly.
how do you deal with narcissists? People watching this, you don't interact with them.
It's like a poisoned limb. If a snake bites you, if you can't suck the poison out, the one thing that you're going to do is you're going to cut your hand off. You're going to cut off all contact. I had to cut off contact with my stepchildren. I had to, the young boy, he called me mom. I was the only woman that he knew in his life.
I'm sorry that
But
you
if I kept this person near me, this person was going to kill me. I saw it. I saw this person doing this to me. And he said so in so many words. You leave me, I'm going to find you and I'm going to kill you. And I believed him. So, I mean, I had to cut off everything. I had to not see my own. These children became like my own. And I had to cut off all contact with his family, his friends, a lot of the people in that area. I had to
what I'm
just let it
realizing
go.
is with my situation because so I had a situation where I dated someone 9 years ago. 9 years ago, I dated this person, and it's a really long story, but which I don't really necessarily want to get into. But long story short, they were a narcissist, and I did not know that, and I had to cut off contact with them because they cheated on me and they're treating me really poorly and stuff. And um, what I did not know is I cut off contact with them, or I just told them I can't do this anymore. You know what I mean? I need some space and stuff. And what I didn't know is it actually kind of hit me pretty bad. Like recently, I found this old poem I wrote during the time that was happening. And me being who I am, I wrote this poem about how I'm sifting all the darkness out of you, all the bad energy, and you're going to be healed and all this stuff. And then what I didn't know was that at the same time, they're literally destroying my name, trying to destroy my reputation, telling lies about me. And I live in this small town. You know, I talk about all the time in my interviews, Appleton, Wisconsin. And for 9 years, this person has been behind the scenes telling people this and that and everything else about me. And I didn't know until I started dating my current partner. And she was the only, I guess she was one of the only people who was actually like, hey, this person like is sending messages to so-and-so saying this and this about you. And I finally realized like, damn, like 9 years later, you're still doing this. Like, no, and I'm getting treated weird in this town. And it's like, I realized like in order to cut off my connection with my narcissist, I literally have to move. I literally have to leave my hometown where I come from, where because it's so small. She has access to me. She can find out what I'm doing. If I put up, you know, flyers for a show I'm playing, she's gonna see them. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. And she's gonna message the venue or whatever. She's done stuff like that. And so yeah, I just realized I have to leave. Not only my hometown, but this entire part of the country. Like I have to leave to cut off all cords, all connections with this person. So they I don't want them to know what the fuck I'm doing, where I'm at. Like, you know what I mean? And unfortunately, they're probably still gonna find. But it's like crazy. Like they block you, and then they make fake sock accounts to be able to stalk you still. Like.
Mm-hmm.
And find out what you're doing in your life so they can hopefully sabotage it. And it's insane. And that's why I really wanted to highlight how to like avoid these people before you even. It's unfortunate. The best way to know how to deal with them is to have dealt with one before. But like I really want people just it's a really important message to put out there that people have to be careful who they let into their lives, who they let close to them, who they become close with, whether it's a friend or a lover or you know, it's the same. It can be the same thing. I got someone knocking at my door, and I don't know
Oh
who
boy.
it could possibly be.
Or just put it on pause for a second.
Yeah.
Just 1 second.
That's okay. I got to use the bathroom, so maybe we could just do a little 5-minute break.
Perfect timing, right?
Yep.
All right. We'll just 1 second here. I'm gonna see who's here. I can edit this later, probably.
Yeah, you got to teach me how to do that. Oh.
Yeah, I need to learn how to edit because one lady, like when we were in lockdown, she's in British Columbia. Sylvia, what the heck's her last name?
All right, it was just Amazon. Normally they just stuff on the. It was just Amazon. Normally they just leave stuff on the porch. I don't know what was up with that, but yeah. Okay. Well, did you get to use the bathroom or?
No, we were just chit chatting. I should be all right.
All right. Yeah. Well. Anyway. That kind of threw me off a little bit.
But with the narcissist thing, I'd be careful with people in the programs because you might let things slide. Like look up the narcissist cycle of abuse. I thought Omega was a thing, but it's actually what they call discarding. So yeah.
Wait, what about Omega and discording? What? Sorry, can you repeat?
Look up the narcissistic cycle of abuse because there's love bombing, and then they discard, and then they have somebody else, and then they hoover and try to come back, and it's like the cycle of yeah.
Yeah, my previous narc, his wife, or the woman that he was messing around on me with, he eventually married her after we got divorced. About 4 years ago, I get this message, and I looked at the profile. The profile was someone who had just made this profile a week ago. And the pictures looked very photography, like model catalog type thing. And this person said, I have a question for you. And I was like, who are you? And she's like, are you in a relationship? And I was like, I knew exactly who it was. I knew exactly. I knew it was his ex-wife. She was checking because he was running around on her. She's checking to see if he was running around with me. I'm like, no, I'm good. No. I was like, once I'm done, once that door is closed, I don't care, how big of a a slime pile you are. You're not squeezing under the door. I'm not taking you back. I'm not going through that again, ever. And that's the kind of mentality you have to have. You have to be your foot down. No, but not even entertaining messages or anything like that, because
Yeah, like
they get it in their head that they got an in. If and even if it's negative attention, they're willing to take negative attention because they're going to flip it around and then they're going to be the victim. That's exact mentality. And there are two different kinds. There's a narcissist and there's a narcissistic sociopath. And those are the worst because they will literally are like vampires and they will suck you dry until there's nothing left. Those are the worst.
The malignant narcissists that mock everything you are. Yeah,
Hmm.
you'll find out that they just them breathing is and their bloodline mocks everything you are. That's the really disgusting part. After you've
Hmm.
been assaulted by black magic and all kinds of BS and
That's exactly what I had. I had bad medicine put on me because I went out on one date with him, and I left a scarf there, and there was my hair in the scarf, and he took all that hair out. And he even told me at one point, he said, if you find a red bag, it's probably a bad medicine bag. Don't touch it. Just call me and I'll come get it. That was him telling me, don't mess with it, you know, because there was something like that. And he's telling me, he described it explicitly. And then he told me that it was his ex-girlfriend's bad medicine bag, not to touch it. I was like, please. You hear the truth after a while being with these people. It almost like awakens like this weird DNA inside of you where you start to hear lies, like almost like really weird, like red flags are more than a red flag. It's like a big sonic boom. And you'll be like, oh, I know I'm being lied to. You can take that as, you know, you're done. I caught you in a lie. Bye, and cut off contact. Or you can stay and see, well, maybe it was just a one slip up.
and what they'll do too, like what I remember what my abuser did is like when I told them, look, I like I can't do this, like we need a break or whatever, like you've been hurting me, like they acted like they're all sorry and like, ooh, and they got my forgiveness and like me wanting them back just so they could be like, oh, not gonna do it, like cut off contact, like, and then of course turn it all on around on me, and I'm the terrible person, even though I'm the person who left the situation. I'm the person who walked away, like. But yeah, and
No.
it's like another thing I felt like it was just important to bring up because I know this community, not everyone's gonna be safe, unfortunately, and people have to be really careful. You know
yeah,
what I
it's pretty ridiculous when somebody goes to your place of business and starts complaining about you, you know. That's when they start their smear campaign when they
mean?
have
Yeah,
to go
yeah.
into your business and going around town and they're
She
messing
did
with
that
your
with my music.
and then you'll find out they never even liked your business page and it fed them.
Oh, that's bad.
Yeah.
That's real bad.
Because
Yeah,
they're jealous of your abilities.
I've had to like take my samurai sword and magically just be able to keep it so that because this person just keeps messing, the person that attacked my friend before just keeps trying to mess around with my partner and trying to terrorize them, and I got mad. They won't mess with me. They won't, because I sent them a message and I had my crew go and deliver a message, and then I telepathically told them to step the F off, or shit was going to get real. I have not had a problem with this person. but now they were trying to mess around. Nope. So I put a samurai sword in my bedroom and made it so that it cannot disappear. It's always going to be there. And so that if anybody picks it up, they're going to chop someone's head off esoterically, because I am just sick of people trying to mess around. I am sick of the people in the community trying to harass other people. And just because they have a big name or because they have this many followers or this, they can sit there and treat people the way they want to treat people. And that's not the way it goes. Everybody deserves respect until that respect is no longer deserved.
Yeah, well, I think a good example of us seeing that in this community was the whole debacle with when Ryder Lee and what's the show, Raised by Giants, decided to say that we're all lying, and he started getting all buddy with Shane Bales, and yeah, he's a good example of like a narcissist, I think, like because it wasn't ever about having a conversation or anything. It was just about trashing us and just about it was just all a bunch of it was the classic situation where I engaged with the narcissist when I should have just blocked him as soon as he said his bullshit. You know what I mean?
Hey, but you did well on that show. You did a lot better than I would have done. Because I would have gone straight street like I was back in the hood. So
Yeah, well, I mean, I think I was a little bit too nice to him on the show where I actually talked to him on, which is on the channel if people want to look at it. But I think he basically just made himself look like an idiot. He's just like, you're gonna say that you remember this and that. I'm not gonna talk to you. And it's like, well, then why did you come on my show? You know what the fuck I believe and what I say, and you're not gonna let me talk about it. Then what are we supposed to talk about, dumbass? Like, the guy's he's just such a fucking prick. And the fact that the worst part is I know him from the programs. He was at Montauk. It's a whole fucking thing. He treated me like a younger brother at Montauk, and he helped take care of me. And he knows it's true. When I told him about it, and I told him about those memories, I could tell he knew they were real memories. He even basically admitted to it and then backtracked. It wasn't on public. It was after we shut off the interview, and I told him about the memories that I had of him. And what happened was, I was a little boy at Montauk, okay? And he would come in, because, they'd keep you in a dog cage and stuff like that and treat you so terribly. He'd come in and bring me food and stuff like that and tell me, hey, you're going to be okay. You're strong. You're going to make it through this. You're my little buddy. You're my bro. Like, I care about you. I'm watching your back. You know what I mean? And I remember he got transferred to Area 51. And he told me, I'm getting transferred. I'm not going to be at Montauk anymore. I won't be able to protect you. I won't be able to defend you, da-da-da-da-da. And he's, you're strong. You're going to make it through this. You're going to be okay. I remember him telling me that. And off he went. I never saw him again. I remember he wore the all black uniform. I remember he looked like he had the big beard. No, he didn't always have it, I don't think. But at times he even had that beard. But yeah, I remember him. And when I told him that memory, it's like, how much of a fucking scoundrel, how much of a fucking piece of shit do you have to be to gaslight somebody over a memory like that when you know it's real and tell them it's not real? I know he's still working for these fucking people. It couldn't be any more obvious. And I know that's so funny. They're saying that. You literally say you work for the Illuminati. But you left. I don't know. I shouldn't even, like I said, we're giving the narcissist attention right now. We shouldn't even be doing it. Shouldn't even be talking.
Oh, they love attention.
Yeah, they love.
Even if it's negative attention, they don't care because their name is in your mouth, and that's all that matters.
Just the
Right.
fact
There's a couple of famous, well, I don't know if you want to call them famous Luciferians in the disclosure community. But, they also have Luciferians that own the food processing companies or distribution companies. So you should put energy to raise the vibration of your food too whenever you eat it, because a lot of things are under a spell.
Mm-hmm. Like even something as simple as Oreos. If you look at the Oreo, you'll see the little symbol on the Oreo cookie, and then look up that symbol. It's crazy.
Oh my God. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's some wild shit. Eat the generic kind, people. No, I'm just kidding.
Make your own Oreos. No, seriously. I mean, I can sit there all day, and be like, but you know what? I just tell myself every morning I'd get a glass of water. I talk to the water. I infuse my water with energy.
That's a good
And I
idea.
tell myself every morning, you are divine. Nothing can touch you. Nothing can harm you. And then I just say a whole bunch of other stuff. And then I drink the water, the whole glass. And I mean, like I said, I can walk down the street 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning through the worst part of town and no one touches me. It might have to do the fact that I have a ship over my head most of the time, but they probably make it so that I'm reflecting light and I'm not there, but who knows?
I
Who
wonder,
knows how anything
I
is?
wonder if you kind of disappear, because I was doing readings at one of those police and fire benevolent funds. I would go up there and you give them, I don't know, 60% or whatever. And somebody got me in a picture, and I always cloak and cover myself. And my one friend, Deborah, she was one of my Reiki master teachers, said, you know, your hair will turn black. She's like, your hair changes color when you're doing work. And I was like, what? And one of our friends accidentally took a caught me doing it. She was taking a picture of all the readers reading in the room, and you could see my hair from the bottom up. It had turned black to like, whoops, this far up. And she said, your hair changes color because I put myself in shadow so you don't recognize me. But
Well, hey, I think this has been a really good interview. You guys both did a really good job. I feel like we covered a lot of ground. You know, just realized, Susan, that I haven't just had you on the show yet. I'll probably have to do that in the future and just give you a chance to maybe tell your story or talk about whatever you want to talk about. But yeah, thanks for coming on the show for the first time. And you and Eve, I love your guys' friendship. I I had to have you guys on the show. You guys have such a wholesome, great energy about you two, and I love it. I love your sisterhood. It's a beautiful thing.
Thank you. I love Susan like a sister.
and then I couldn't wait for Eve to do energy work on me the first time, because I was like, oh, I want to feel your native energy because I have Fey energy. And I just want to see what the other people's magic is, because I knew she had good energy and I just wanted to see what it was like.
Yes. Well, I think I came across some stuff because when I do healing on people, I do sketches. Like I'll get an image and I immediately have to sketch it down. Um, and I got lots of good stuff. I had one off of Susan. So I
So,
think it's like a little personal touch that I like.
is there anything you two both want to like say before we kind of wrap things up? I know Eve, you told me that you're going to be starting your own podcasts and stuff like that. Is that maybe still in the works, or do you want to announce that? Or
Actually, I do. I have, there's three of us, and we are working towards it. I'm actually doing, we did the name, logo, and working on the music. And then for the intro music, I got the equipment ordered, should be in today. Um, I thought it was going to be a lot faster than it is, but I'm realizing that, I'm making sure that all my bases are covered. Now I have to do some legal work to protect and trademark our logo and
yeah, which is something that I should
name.
do. You're like making me realize, like, yeah, like
Yeah, because anybody could go in and make a T-shirt with your name of your stuff on it and sell it, and then not give
right,
you a
that
dime of it.
would be good, right?
So, but that's going to be like about the biggest expense so far would probably be that, because you have to file it with a certain office and make sure you have the perfect paperwork. So.
Yeah, I should get on disclosure
So
now.
I'm thinking that it'll drop probably in August. I'm going to try and get a couple of shows, like 3 shows. I do have one planned out. It's going to be the female side of the SSP. So I have quite a few ladies that are going to come on the show, and we're going to discuss a lot of things that a lot of people you hear about the men, you hear about the testosterone, you hear about the battles and the guns and everything, but you don't realize that we were also placed in the program and the reasoning behind all that. So it'll be an interesting show. And then I have one on bloodlines coming, and then another one on some of the conspiracies that are going on now. in the world.
I'm really
And
excited for that. I think that you have a really important voice that needs to be heard, and I'm really glad that you're taking the initiative to have your own channel, because it gives you the chance of just putting your message out there, and you don't have to wait on anyone. You can just do it yourself. And who are you doing the show with? You said there's some other individuals that are involved in this with you.
yes, I have two that are in the program that are actually in. I don't know if they wanted me to say their name yet, so
Okay.
I gotta ask them before I drop the name. But I actually have we have the logo and everything. When that drops, then their names will drop as well.
Okay.
But,
So everybody
this
keep an
was
eye out for
my
that.
baby.
You're going to be on. What are you going to be?
That's the next to try and figure out, because I have a laptop here. Do I just stream it myself and then throw it up, or do I go through? Like I said, I'm doing everything by the book, so that might take me a week to figure out what I'm going to do. But I am calling in a friend of mine that works in that's going to help me, physically in the same town that I'm in. So
Cool.
hopefully that gets worked out, and then after that I can start. I want to do at least 3 shows so that when we finally do our 4th one, we'll be able to drop 3 streams right away.
Cool. Susan, anything else you want to say?
What are we just talking about, websites or whatever?
Well, just help if people want to get a hold of you, whatever. Also, I think it's important to bring up you both do energy work, and you're great people. So I couldn't recommend you both enough, and I think that after an hour and 41 minutes of someone watching this, they probably would agree. So yeah, I definitely something to plug there. Is like, we're talking about energy work. They do energy work. That's their line of work and stuff like that. So is there a way to also?
I also do quantum hypnosis, and one of the things that I thought was odd was all my memories are downloads in the here and now, or dreams where I woke up with bruises and stuff. So I know it was brought back here, but when I've done hypnosis, people are going to past lives and stuff, or recovering stuff from that's happened here that they weren't sure about, because we can direct you to a different one. But I haven't really had anybody just go straight to SSP memories. Like, they've gone to ET home planets and stuff where they were ET, and that was really cool. And
That was my mother that I remember dying. That was hard. But yeah, I totally, Susan is the best when it comes to, what is it, quantum trance or QHHT? I forgot what she.
it's quantum trance, because she didn't
Quantum
want,
trance.
Dolores didn't want it done on Zoom. So, but we use her script and put you in the white pyramid of protection. But it's pretty fascinating. And I'm self-employed on Facebook, and on my first wave, Indigosoulstar on IG, the Phoenix on IG, that's my SSP page, and then I have a private Phoenix page on Facebook and a Divine Connections page. But if you want to do quantum trance, I need like 2 or 3 hours to do that.
If you guys want to send me some links
Yeah,
that I
I'll
can put in
stick
the
my
description
link.
so people can get a hold of you, I'll do that. Thanks again for coming on the show. I think I'm gonna wrap it up now. But yeah, it's been a great talk. How do I stop the recording? Okay, good. This has been Disclosure Now with Eve Howard and Susan Long. Thank you so much for staying with us this whole time, to the audience and the viewers. You mean so much. And yeah, we'll see you again soon.